TV News Monday. We've seen some big changes at the nursing school that will be making a lot of differences, and also we have other information on a way that the campus is going to become just a little bit greener. That's all coming up next on MUTV News.
This is your campus news source, MUTV News.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Natasha Moraz.
And I'm Ryan Burke. In our top story tonight, walking through campus 2 weeks ago, you may have noticed students on a giant teeter-totter. Well, MUTV News' Peter Bosch explained this campus-wide phenomenon.
Sports, a new school year brings an abundance of events for students to participate in. However, one event is reserved strictly for the men of O'Donnell Hall. 2012 marked the 10th anniversary of the O'Donnell Hall 72-hour teeter-totter-a-thon. In 2002, a hall director by the name of John Merchant sought to raise awareness against sexual violence. He envisioned the idea of a teeter-totter to represent how relationships go up and down, but there should be no teetering on the issue of sexual violence. The teeter-totter resided at 3 locations during the 72 hours: O'Donnell Hall, Shamu, and under the Rainer Bridge. Each shift consists of 2 residents, a teeter-totter, and 1 intense workout. Being a resident of O'Donnell, I was lucky enough to participate in the event and even took a 12 to 1 a.m. shift. Many students came to their shift dressed up in pajamas, flags tied around their waists, or any other bizarre apparel they could find. Nonetheless, the most popular item over the years has been the pillow. Our pledge continues to be promoting awareness against sexual violence and raising funds for nonprofit organizations throughout the city. Over the span of 72 hours, 144 men of O'Donnell took the responsibility of teeter-tottering in hopes of raising this year's goal of $5,000. The money will be donated to the Healing Center of Milwaukee, who pledges to support and advocate survivors of sexual abuse. However, it is not too late to donate, as donations will continue to be accepted until October 5th. Over these past 10 years, the teeter-totter-a-thon has proved a tremendous success. The men of O'Donnell Hall encourage everyone to become aware of sexual violence and get involved. Reporting outside O'Donnell Hall, Peter Bosch, MUTV.
Thanks, Peter. Sounds like a fun experience. Remember, you still have until October 5th to donate to this great cause.
This summer, Marquette's College of Nursing got quite the upgrade with the addition of the new state-of-the-art clinic. Here's Carolyn Portner with a story.
This summer was filled with curriculum revisions and improvements. Faculty and administrators say the $4 million renovation of the Wheaton Franciscan Medical Simulation Center was the biggest of them all. Dean of the College of Nursing believes the lab will prepare future nurses for the changing medical field.
There's no question that students are entering a healthcare environment that is more and more complex today than ever before.
The new lab allows students to experience realistic situations and scenarios. The center offers hospital suites, healthcare examination rooms, and mannequin simulators that can give birth, breathe, and simulate emergency scenarios like strokes, seizures, and cardiac arrest.
Clinical simulation allows us to let students have experiences they might never see in a hospital, even if they were there 7 days a week, 24 hours a day.
The lab has been updated with cutting-edge medical technology, including camera observation of simulations. Students then review in these debriefing rooms with professors and reflect on performance and build confidence.
It will not only help them understand and feel more comfortable, but it will help them be able to really get to the heart of taking care of patients sooner.
Nursing students are recognizing the benefits of these renovations.
But with the equipment we have now, there's going to be so much more prepared than they ever were before. Just getting that practice in, using the same equipment we'd use in a clinical or like future work setting.
We can sign up for hours and just go down there and practice skills. You know, once you get to the hospital, as a working nurse, you have to be ready to go.
Last updated in 1981, these improvements will prove to be a benefit to more than just nursing students and faculty.
Very, very hopeful that this will really create an even better, more enhanced Marquette nurse for the community.
Reporting from Emory Clark Hall, Carolyn Portner, MUTV News.
Thank you, Carolyn. Well, starting at the beginning of this school year, a new drug and alcohol policy on campus has caused an uproar. MUTV News' Max Hess has more.
Changes that take place at Marquette over the summer, whether it's dorm renovations or policy changes. But this year, one of those changes has caused a lot of contradictions.
You can
it's
plan
a sound
all day
that
and
many
stuff will
college
still
students
get
are familiar
thrown off.
with. But with a revised alcohol policy at Marquette, the sound will become less and less common.
Really cool shots
Aaron Lazar is the assistant dean of students and sat down with me for an interview to explain the changes that took place.
There have been pretty significant changes to both the alcohol policy as well as the drug policy, and most of it has to do with how the policy was organized.
That reorganization was made clear to students in an email by Dr. Christopher Miller, Marquette's vice president for student affairs, on August 21st. The email stated that students found responsible for violating the alcohol and/or drug policies will be assessed a fine. Fines vary based on the severity of the violation and previous violations and will be assigned in addition to alcohol use assessments and educational sanctions currently being used.
This year it says the following behaviors are violations, and here are Category A violations, Category B, Category C.
The variations of the fine are immense and range anywhere from $50 for a Class A offense or $750 plus university suspension for a second offense under Class D. And when asked why the changes were made,
it was determined that it made sense to categorize violations because not every violation of the alcohol policy is as serious as the others.
A serious Class D offense would be providing minors with alcohol, whereas a less serious Class A offense would simply be a minor in the possession of alcohol. Some students see a different consequence of the policy change.
It could just make people drink in other places. It's extremely easy for any kid to obtain alcohol from older friends or just from anywhere, really.
And that could potentially lead students to more danger than before.
If they choose to go off campus, hopefully they choose to still employ safe practices, and if they choose to drink underage, they're aware that what the consequences may be off campus.
Opinions on campus about the change vary.
I actually think it's a pretty good policy. I think it's going to keep a lot of kids out of trouble, and there's just going to be less chaos in the middle of the night, and everyone's just going to be able to relax more in their dorms.
I don't mind that they instituted a new policy, but I think that their rules are a little bit over the top for such a quick change.
I don't want to fine, but at the same time, I do understand what the university is talking about. I mean, it's a private institution, so they're allowed to do what they want.
I think that's a little bit strict of a policy. I think it's college, and I think that's a good time to experiment.
Students' opinion on this policy change obviously vary, but the university says the policy is set in stone. Reporting from outside Zilber Hall, Max Hess, MUTV News.
Big Question series has revamped. Vocation programs in the Office of Student Development debuted the Big Question series last year in an effort to encourage students on campus to reflect on the lives that they lead. The purpose of this program is to spark thought about deeper questions. There's a very well-known musical artist. Watch out for the Big Question coming up in November.
The Les Aspin Center will be holding information sessions for internships next Tuesday and Wednesday. The center offers internships where students are given the opportunity to live, work, and learn in Washington, D.C. for a semester. Local internships in Milwaukee are also available at the information sessions. Applications for the internships are due October 29th. For more information, contact the Les Aspin Center Marquette office. A 1,500-foot wetland will be created in Menominee Valley after getting approval by the Metropolitan Sewage Commission. Miller Compressing Company partnered with the district to create the wetland, which will span from the 11th Street Bridge to the near 15th Street. A steel wall will be built at the bridge that will contain clean soil and fill within the district. The district is seeking federal, state grants as well as private contributions for the remaining costs of the project. Coming up next on MUTV News, we have details on what President Obama had to say when he came to Milwaukee this weekend.
Plus, Ann Romney visited Marquette on the campaign trail for her husband. We'll have reactions from Marquette's college Republicans. MUTV News Monday night. We'll be right back. Well, when President Obama visited Milwaukee this weekend, he told the crowd that Americans need to take more responsibility for their government. The president also said the Democratic Party does not expect the government to fix the problems of its citizens. Obama's remarks came in response to Mitt Romney's comments that the government was too intrusive in the lives of its citizens. Obama held 2 separate fundraisers here in Milwaukee on Saturday. Well, Governor Scott Walker's Deputy Chief of Staff Kelly Reinfleisch was accused of using county time to conduct campaign work for Brett Davis, a Republican who lost the lieutenant governor race back in 2010. Reinfleisch has pleaded not guilty to 4 counts of misconduct in office. Felony charges carry a maximum combined penalty of 6 years and a $40,000 fine. Her trial is scheduled for next month on misconduct charges. The judge said Monday he will make sure the case does not turn into a referendum for the governor.
Last week, Marquette University played host for a political rally featuring one of the nation's biggest Republican figures. With more on the story, here is MUTV News' Evan Peterson.
The next First Lady of the United States,
Ann Romney, the wife of Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney, was on campus last Thursday in a last-minute pitch to gain potential voters in the swing state of Wisconsin. But while the big players are doing what they can to get votes, Marquette's college Republicans are also doing their best to get their candidate elected.
The primary responsibility of our groups was just to rally students, to get people here.
Students that were able to attend got to see a side not often seen of the Romney family.
She told a story about Mitt and how he was there for his family, friends, and was such a personable guy and took care of everybody. It was a nice shift from the whole business side of things.
But with the November election just around the corner, what can we expect next from the college Republicans?
That we are working on getting additional speakers here, so look out for that.
From Marquette's Old Gym, reporting for MUTV News, I'm Evan Peterson.
Thank you, Evan, for that update on her visit. Well, semi-trailers are no longer on the loose after a small gang of thieves were sentenced to federal prison. The thieves would scout out semis in Milwaukee truck yards and drive them off to places as far away as Indiana. Stolen items included trucks full of Nike shoes, Miller beer, and even windshield washing fluid. Well, victims of the attack had an estimated $1 million in damage. A separate hearing to establish the final damage amount that will have to be repaid is scheduled for this Friday.
Wisconsin's average ACT and average SAT scores continue to surpass the national averages. Last month, Wisconsin posted its lowest ACT scores since 1996, but still outperformed every other state's students that took the SAT. Their SAT scores beat their national peers by close to 100 points on all the subject tests. Along with the success of Wisconsin students have had on the college readiness tests, Wisconsin's AP students have scored 9 percentage points higher than the national pass rate on the AP tests.
What was a successful event last year was just as successful the second time around. Doors Open Milwaukee kicked off this weekend, giving the public access to nearly 125 buildings around the city. Some of these included City Hall, the Art Museum, Bradley Center, and the Pabst Mansion. Doors Open gives Milwaukeeans and tourists the option to see inside historical buildings around the city that are usually closed to the public. Well, in an interview with Piers Morgan, Iranian President Mahmoud Ahmadinejad slammed the anti-Islamic film that sparked violent protests around the Muslim world. Ahmadinejad expressed outrage that Americans would be allowed to produce a film that depicted the Prophet Muhammad as a sexual predator. The president also spoke out against homosexuality as well as the United States' support of Israel. The full interview with Ahmadinejad will air tonight on CNN. Well, coming up next, we'll have a look at your weather to let you know if these cool temperatures will continue. That when MUTV News returns.
Hi, I'm Reese Heinzinger with your weather forecast. Today we had 68 as a high with dew point of 36, humidity 29%, and winds westward at 13 miles per hour. We had a high of 69 with the low temperature reaching 39 degrees, average of 68 degrees, and records reaching 92 in 1942. Around the country, we have 72 northward, we have 64 in San Francisco and 89 in Houston, 66 in New York. Here in Wisconsin, we have 74 in Eau Claire, 72 in Madison, and 69 in Green Bay, while Milwaukee holds a 68 degrees. And tonight, you'll be looking for 52 degrees, clear skies, and winds headed southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, headed to class, you'll be looking for 62 degrees, clear skies, and winds headed west-southwest at 5 to 10 miles per hour. And for our 5-day forecast, Tuesday, it's pretty warm, 73 degrees. Headed later into the week, it's pretty cool, and Saturday warming back up again with 68 degrees. And coming up next, we have Madeline Frankie with sports.
Hi, I'm Madeline Frankie with your MUTV News Sports Update. Tonight, the Green Bay Packers take on the Seattle Seahawks at CenturyLink Field. The game started at 7:30 and the score is currently Green Bay 0 to Seattle 6. Former Badger quarterback Russell Wilson made his third NFL start for the Seahawks over the former Packer backup quarterback Matt Flynn. Green Bay Packers wide receiver Greg Jennings is back in the lineup after missing last Thursday's game due to a groin injury. The Seahawks boast the league's best win percentage on Monday Night Football with an impressive 17-8 record. We'll see what Aaron Rodgers has to say about that. While the Packers are still in action, the Brewers already played today against the Washington Nationals at the nation's capital. Things did not go as planned as the Brewers gave up 6 runs in the 4th inning, eventually losing 12-2. However, the push for the playoffs still has hope as the St. Louis Cardinals take on the Houston Astros. As things stand, the Brewers are 3 games behind the Cardinals with 9 games remaining in the season. It's hard to believe that about a month ago, the Brewers were 12 games below 500. Here at Marquette, the men's soccer team improved to 8-0 after beating their Big East rival DePaul on Saturday. They are one of only 3 Division I teams with a perfect record. The number 7 ranked team returns to action on Wednesday at Valley Fields against the in-state rival Wisconsin. You know, guys, with the men's soccer team doing so well, Marquette students should really make an effort to get to the games.
Absolutely. Hopefully they will get out there and heed your call. Definitely. Well, when we come back, we're going to let you know some information about iPhone 5 sales. That when we return. Well, that's about all the time we have for this first episode of the semester for MUTV News. We'd like to thank you all for joining us. I think for our first show, we certainly did a good job. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, we did pretty well. Yep.
Well, we certainly hope that you all will continue watching in the future. For Madeline Frankie, Natasha Mraz, and Ryan Burke, myself, we'd like to wish you a great night. We'll see you soon, Marquette. Thank you.